to realize or to accept my Catholic faith, because I was born into a Catholic family, and for all of those years growing up, I would go to Mass, and we would say rosaries as a family, and I would receive the sacraments, but everything was very just going through the motions, because that's what we did, that's what my family did. And I never questioned anything, but I never understood it either, and I never accepted it as my own. And so it didn't mean anything to me. I would go to Mass, and I would stand up, I would sit down, I would receive the Eucharist, and nothing meant anything to me. It wasn't important, it wasn't special. It didn't change me or transform me or help me grow in any way. And so after I graduated from high school, I went on a retreat, and it was on this retreat that I felt this really powerful, strong feeling that I knew was the Holy Spirit moving through me. And I loved it, and I wanted more of it. I said, wow, there must really be a God if I feel this good, this happy inside. And that was what started me on my journey. So after that, I said, I want to know more. I want to learn more. And maybe I've been passive all these years in my relationship. Maybe I've been waiting for someone else to come and change me, or someone else to come and do something to bring me this happiness that I was looking for, this longing that I needed or that I wanted. And so once I started college, I became really involved in Catholic groups, and I had a really good close group of friends. And I met a guy when I was a freshman in college, and he was Catholic, and he was really nice, and we got along, and he was attractive, and so things progressed really quickly, and we started to date, and he never said it in words, but he didn't really have an interest in meeting my family or meeting my friends, or even coming to do the same things that I was involved with, my Bible studies or my Catholic student group meetings and all of these things. And so slowly I started pulling myself away from all of those things because I liked him so much, because I let myself become so attached to him. So all of these other things became important, and I put him as my priority. And so this took place everything just moved so fast. So had been several months, and I still hadn't even met his family yet. And so finally one day he invited me to his house, and I got really excited, and I thought, okay, great, he's going to introduce me to his family. He must be proud of me. This is great. I was really excited. And so we go inside his house, and he led me to his bedroom. And I said, I don't think he's going to introduce me to his parents. They're not in here. And I don't have to, you are all old enough to understand what his intentions were. And he made it very clear to me that he had no intention of respecting me, or treating me like a lady, or making me feel beautiful, and all of these things that I was longing for, and all of these things that I thought he could give me. And so I stopped him, and I said, I need to leave. And so I did, and I drove myself to my church, where we have 24-hour adoration, where the Eucharist is exposed 24 hours a day. And so I went into adoration. It was late at night, and I just started crying, and I felt so ugly inside. I felt like, how did I get to this point? This is not who I am. This is not who my parents raised me to be. How did I get myself into a situation where this guy could think that he could take advantage of me like that? Where he thought that I was that type of person that would just give of myself freely in that way. And I felt very used. I felt very vulnerable, and I felt very hurt. But the more that I thought through everything and prayed about it, I realized that I couldn't be mad at that guy for having disrespected me that way. The only person I could blame was myself, because I had allowed myself to get to that point. I hadn't set any expectations. I hadn't set any standards. I hadn't communicated to him at all what I wanted from the relationship, or what the reason was that I was in that relationship. In fact, we just got together because we had a few good conversations and because we were attracted to each other. And so that night was when I realized that I needed to change that. If I wanted to find someone who was going to respect me and treat me like the valuable, priceless person that I am, then I needed to demonstrate that. I needed to act like that, and I needed to communicate that. And so I felt like I needed to do something really just extreme because I felt so guilty. And so I made a promise in front of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and I said, the next time that I let a man kiss me, it will be when I'm standing at the altar, if marriage is what you're calling me to. And so I was 17 or 18 at the time when I made that promise. I graduated high school really early. And so the next morning I was like, what did I just do? It could be like years before I get married. And I just said, I'm never going to kiss another guy. And so I started thinking, like, maybe this isn't a good idea. But I said, no, I already did it. I'm going to stick to it. And you know what? It turned out to be the biggest blessing and the best thing that I could have ever done. Because fast forward 1-2 years, I did meet other guys who expressed interest in being in a relationship with me. And anytime that I did that, they backed off. They got scared. I freaked them out. One time I was on a first date with a guy, and things were going really well. We were getting along, and I said, I think I need to tell you something before anything else, before you get, I don't know, your hopes up, I guess. So I told him, and he kind of didn't say anything. He kind of just like nodded. That's interesting. Okay. And so finished dinner. We went home. We had met there, so drove home, and I never heard from him again. And I was like, okay, well, I thought that had gone well. Guess I was wrong. There was another guy who told me to go and talk to my parish priest, trying to convince me that it wasn't a bad thing, that it was okay. And through all these different situations where these guys either just never heard from them again, or they tried to convince me to change my mind, the purpose of my sacrifice became something different. Initially, I had made this promise more as kind of a punishment because I felt like I needed to do something to, I guess just as a punishment because I felt bad. And it turned more into a gift. I started to realize that, no, kissing is not necessarily a bad thing. It can be a good thing. I kiss my kids on the lips, and it's not anything dirty or gross or bad. It can be something so innocent and so pure and an expression of true love. But it's all about that intention. If I'm kissing someone with the intention that I want it to go further, that's where you put yourself in danger. And so I came to realize that I wanted to continue to save my next first kiss until marriage, not because it was bad or ugly or dirty, but because I came to realize that my kiss, my lips, were so good and so beautiful and valuable that I didn't want to share that with anybody else. That I didn't want to share that with anybody else that wasn't willing to give of themselves in return. I needed to find someone that was willing to sacrifice for me and show me that they truly valued who I was. And having had all these relationships that left me hurt and broken and heartbroken, I said, well, this is for me. This is the best way that I can find out if someone wants to date me or be in a relationship with me for who I really am, and not, like Marcus said, not just for my body, not just for whatever physical pleasure they think they can get out of it. And so when I met Marcus and I told him, if you want to be in a relationship with me, you're going to have to take on this promise with me, I wasn't sure what his reaction would be. I kind of figured it'd be like all those other guys, so I kind of was bracing myself for that. But when he said, yes, I'll do it, I said, really? You'll take on this promise with me? And he did, and so that was the first sign. Just him saying, yes, I will do it, or at least I'll try to do it, was huge for me. So we really try to wrap all of this up. We used to give talks, frequently, and we would always say, you don't have to do anything as crazy as giving up your first kiss. You don't have to, go to that extreme. But, we came to realize that by saying that, we're doing you a disservice. Because by saving our first kiss for marriage, and it was about 3.5 years before we got married, we were able to experience authentic love. Marcus was able to show me how much he loved me and cared for me in other ways. He would write me poems and love letters, and he would express his love in all these other beautiful romantic ways that would leave all these other girls on campus saying, I want a guy like that. I wish my boyfriend would treat me like that. And I would tell them that you just need to set the standard high. You need to have high expectations and don't settle. And I do think that you all are too young to date right now. Whenever you are ready to date, which is up to your parents, you have to have standards. And that starts now. That starts now, recognizing that you are so beautiful. You are made perfectly. There's nothing about you that should be changed. God did not make any mistake when he created you. So one, it's recognizing how beautiful, perfect, and valuable you are. Two, it's setting your own standards. How high can you set your standards? You can always set it higher. You can set your standards very low and at the very bottom. But if you want someone to respect you, and if you want a guy to love you, if you want a girl to respect you, you have to set those standards high. If I had set the bar low for Marcus, well, sure, that would have been easy for him, but that would have not given either of us a challenge to grow and to become better. So set your standard high. And then once you are ready to date, in several years, right, then when you find that person that you think that you may want to date, ask yourself, is this person willing to sacrifice for me? How do I know? How is this person showing that they can sacrifice for me? Because you are worth it. That's what the main message that we're trying to spread is, that you are worth the wait. You are worth the wait because you're so good, and no one should ever disrespect you or take advantage of you in any way. But it all starts with you. You have to make the decision, and you have to set those standards high. I think we're just about out of time. Did you want to say something else?
She's got a really sweet way of putting things. She's such a female. I tend to be a little more rough. And so I'll say my last words, again, are coming from a more manly standpoint. I'm going to challenge you. I know many of you, you've already experienced a first kiss, or maybe you've experienced many kisses. Maybe you've experienced far more than a kiss. I don't know if that was a sneeze or a stop. But anyway, maybe you've been really hurt. Maybe your body has been misused. I know many people who've had family members or close friends or something like that who have taken advantage of them and their bodies at a very young age. And it leaves them very broken. It's a very serious thing. And what I'm trying to tell you is that it's in this kind of promise. It's in purity, it's in chastity, it's in sacrifice. When you decide to sacrifice your kiss for marriage, you start that healing process, either for yourself or somebody you know. Maybe you have younger brothers or sisters, and you need to be the example, the witness for them of what kind of relationship they should seek for themselves. We are challenging you to join us, to join the ranks of this army of people who are now going to give up the lustful society, the Miley Cyruses and the Lady Gagas who are telling you that your body is nothing, do whatever you want with my body. I went out on that. I know that there's a song, do whatever you want with my body. You know how sad that is? Listen to me for a second. Is it really funny that we have Lady Gaga telling you to do whatever you want with your body? Is it really? If you have a daughter one day, and you have a guy who says, hey, I'm going to do whatever I want with your body, with your daughter's body, is that a funny thing? Not at all. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that it's not something that hits us home. It's not something that there are people out there who are ready to take on this promise. In fact, we've already encountered them. There are people who've come up to us and said, you know what? I want to make my story great. I want somebody to love me like that. And I am now going to save my kiss for marriage because I have been so wounded. And maybe some of you are so young that you haven't hit that stage yet where maybe you've been wounded like that. But I promise you, you'll get there. And it's going to happen out of nowhere. Maybe accidentally. If you're not ready for it, if you don't prepare yourself, if you don't make that decision right now and start making steps to protect yourself, to protect your heart, to protect your purity, you're going to fall into it and you're going to regret it, and it may ruin your life. And maybe you've already made those mistakes, but I'm telling you that you can come back from it. It starts right now. You make a decision, and that decision changes your life. You make that decision to sacrifice. You have a dream for yourself. You set a goal and you say, this is the kind of life that I'm going to have. Maybe I'm not going to do what my dad did. I'm not going to be doing what my mother did. I'm going to be better for my children. And I'm going to be an example and a witness, maybe to my parents, but certainly for my younger sisters, my younger brothers. I have 4 younger sisters who I was a terrible example for. And you know what? Some of them made mistakes, and they made mistakes because they saw me make the same mistakes. And it hurt when they made those mistakes because I knew it was my fault for not being a good example. Then I turned. I became a better example, and you know what? Every single one of them, every one of my 4 sisters is now doing awesome. So I know we're out of time, completely out of time, and I apologize for that. I had a video that I wanted to show you. Maybe you can show it at a different time. It's 4 minutes long. I want to leave you with this video to get you motivated to think about making this promise. Join us. Is the audio working? No. Okay. If not, I can take that microphone over there and just see if it'll work. Give me a second.
Turn it off.